The film starts with the 11-year-old Polly waiting out on a schoolyard for her mother to pick her up. Polly waited for long hours for Mom, but she didn't show up. After hours of waiting, a beat-up car shows up with a strange man inside. It's revealed Polly recognizes her estranged father, Nate, and questions him why is he here. But Nate convinces her to get in the car. During the ride, Polly tells Nate something is clearly wrong somewhere, but Nate couldn't keep a straight face and insisted everything is okay. She asked about her mom, but Nate, with a lemon face, answered she's fine. From there, Polly looked in fear, then knows something is clearly wrong somewhere. The two took a trip to the motel. Nate bribes her daughter with candy as he makes phone calls to ask for assistance. Nate decides to redo his daughter's hair. It appears Polly likes her new makeover. He also teaches her how to swing a bat to defend herself. Nate briefs her about people she needs to watch out for. He informs specifically people with lighting tattoo are dangerous. Later on that night, Nate fell asleep and Polly watches TV. Polly learns her mother's fate on the news, and yup, she got unalive and was terrified. She ran downstairs to call the police due to the fact she was concerned for her safety. She calls the police, then she changed her mind. Polly came back to Nate crying. She accused him of lying that everything was okay. This time Nate admitted in guilt and responded, "You right, everything is not fine." Then Polly warned Nate they had to flee the hotel since she tipped the cops. They fled by foot before the police surrounded the motel. Moments later, Nate took the opportunity to explain what was happening to Polly, who was deeply traumatized and confused. He recalls that the guy with the thunder lighting tattoo murdered her mother because of him. Nate promised Polly that he would protect her from the terrible things he did that led to these problems. Nathan and Polly went to Charlotte's residence. Charlotte, Nate's friend, felt uneasy with him being there. Nate was hoping for help and money to exit the country. Meanwhile, at the police station, two detectives, John and Jimmy, are attempting to locate Nate. John tries to persuade Jimmy that there is more to the narrative of Nate's ex-wife's murder. However, Jimmy holds a different opinion. Back at Charlotte's house, Polly and Charlotte were outside getting ready to start a barbecue. Charlotte's friend Felix soon comes. Polly was uneasy about Felix because of the tattoos he displayed during a handshake. It is then revealed that he had lighting tattoos on his wrist when attempting to ignite the barbecue grill. Polly walks away to warn her father before they get into a fist fight. Nate came out like Conor McGregor, overpowering him and beating him to the ground. Despite his defeat, Felix cautioned Nate that he would not escape the consequences of the boss. And Nate, like a good father, added another beat down just because he tried to harm his daughter. Nate and Polly leave Charlotte's house and return to the road. They arrive at the gas station. Nate eventually robs the gas station while Polly sits and watches. A customer witnesses the crime, then goes to his car and retreats with a firearm. Polly warns Nate before a gunfight occurs. Unfortunately, Nate was shot in the leg before running back to his car. Nate escaped but ran into a police officer on the road. Nate attempts to dodge the cop, which leads to a vehicle pursuit. They succeeded in escaping as they laugh in relief. The celebration was cut short when Polly noticed Nate was bleeding from a gunshot wound. Moments later, at a vacant trailer, Polly assists Nate in treating his gunshot wound. After moments of pain, they were able to remove the bullet. Polly goes outside to dispose the remaining bandages in the dumpster. Not too far, a police officer approaches her with a pistol aimed at her. Polly was confused and dumbfounded like a deer looking at headlights. The police officer took a shot at Polly, and luckily he couldn't shoot worth a damn. Polly took cover and Nate comes in and disarmed the officer. While Nate was struggling with him, Polly shot the officer, ending the struggle. Wow, she's a better shooter than that officer. Nate, who was terrified seeing his daughter taking a life, warns her never pull a trigger ever again. In the midst of nowhere, Polly and Nate were wandering until Detective John cuts them off. Guns were pointing at each other until John convinced him that he could help. Moments later, Nate was handcuffed as John briefs him on how he could assist him. John warns him not only skinheads want him dead, but also corrupt cops. He exposes a shocking secret. The mastermind behind the bounty on his head is none other than Sheriff Hauser. Nate accepts John's request to be a bait to take him down. Moments later, at a motel, John was preparing Nate on a mission to set up Sheriff Hauser. The mission was to go to the meth lab and shake things up. The commotion will draw Hauser to the location, allowing him to be taken down. Nate says goodbye to Polly before driving to his mission. John was now left with Polly, who excused herself to the restroom before a knock arrived at the door. John was startled when Detective Jimmy identified himself. He slipped Polly a note to hide. Jimmy was questioning and suspects John on trying to pull a sting operation on Hauser. He reveals he overheard his operation. He then pulls his pistol on John to execute him, but was distracted by the sound Polly made in the bathroom. Both men got into a gunfight and shot at each other. Both men were critically injured. Fortunately, John was the last man standing. Meanwhile, Nate arrives to the meth lab location. Unluckily for Nate, the gunmen spotted him first and chased him down like a pack of zombies. Nate gets into a gunfight but was overpowered, then captured, and Sheriff Hauser comes into the scene. Nate was badly beaten, tied up, and interrogated by Sheriff Hauser. He was interrogated about Detective John and questions him what does he know about his meth operation. It's now revealed Hauser is now onto Detective John. All of a sudden, a combination of dogs, then police sirens can be heard outside by Hauser and his men. At this point, Detective John arrives with armed law enforcement and surrounded Hauser. A firefight begins as police squad and skinheads exchange gunfire. Polly escapes from the car and enters the building to locate her dad. Polly cut her dad loose, but unfortunately Hauser comes and causes havoc. He shoots Nate and snatches Polly as hostage, then threatens to kill Polly as John tries to talk him out of it. Nate appears unexpectedly, stabs Hauser, and frees Polly. The police squad opens fire, shooting Hauser and regrettably Nate as well. Polly cries in agony as her father remains unmoving as she is carried away. Days later, John drops Polly in a foster home for girls and tells her she will be fine. She joins a video game dance with the rest of the girls. She dances her sorrow away as the story comes to an end. This film reminds me of the movie of 1994, The Professional. Similar haircuts like Matilda. But I'm really not too sure if Nate did die. Remember, he was promised a different identity? Well, tell me what you think. Feel free to comment. Thank you for watching. Please, if you like quick recaps like these, don't forget to like and share for the channel to grow.